Okay, everyone, I have 7 o'clock here on Tuesday night, and I want to thank you all for logging in to get any unanswered questions answered, if at all possible. So I'll just kind of take a minute and kind of walk you through where we are. As you know, we're to a point where we're going to extend the school day. Currently, our on-campus and remote has been till 11:30, and with additional work in the afternoon. And so that's going to change, whereas the school day is going to extend straight through until 2 o'clock, and then the school day will be done. That more than satisfies our actual clock minutes with according to ISBE. So it does give us a full day. Obviously, the full day of instruction is what we've been striving for. As we come back off of spring break is when we will make this change. And so Monday the 12th will be the actual first day. If kind of go through and kind of highlight a few things. If you have, if your children have been remote recently and you are coming on campus, please make sure that you contact your building office. Make sure that the teachers know to anticipate you. Obviously, every student that comes on campus is a huge positive. We want all of our kids to be on campus. We really believe that that's the best model. We certainly understand for those of you who continue to have your children remote and have your valid reasons for doing that. We obviously support that as well, but we love to have kids on campus. But please call the building offices and make sure that they know to expect your children and any switches that might take place. The largest change as we move from an 11:30 to 2 o'clock extension of the school day is going to be lunch. And so, we want to be, completely transparent on this, in that, during our lunches in all three buildings, much like the rest of the day, we will not adhere to strict social distance guidelines. When the students sit down to eat lunch, they will be less than 6 feet apart, at times less than 3 feet apart. And so need to make sure that everybody understands that. The only time students will be unmasked is while they are actually eating. At the elementary school, I think that the students will be eating lunch in 3, if not 4 different areas spread out throughout the school. And in all cases, the children will sit down to eat lunch, and they will all be facing the same way. And so at the elementary school, as the children sit down to eat lunch, there's going to be nobody on the other side of the table from them. That will be the case as well at the junior high. The junior high lunches will be kind of in the same direction. As they sit down at the long tables, there won't be anybody directly across from them. Everyone will be facing the same way. A little bit different at the high school. At the high school, when using the long tables, there will be somebody on the other side, but there will actually be a plexiglass partition in between. And if, as a parent, or if your child is uncomfortable with that at the high school, then there's also a secondary eating area in the den, in the bleachers of the den, where the students can go and space out quite a bit and actually be able to social distance. In all of these instances, once that Monday starts, at the elementary school, the lunch seating will be more assigned seating. That's where children will eat same spot every day. At the junior high and high school, the seating, once they sit down, that's going to be their assigned seat then, and so it won't be, you know, moving around from day to day. And so we will be able to know where each child is in relation to the others throughout the day, because even in this environment where people are starting to get vaccinated, and you know, there are some different things at work, us being able to monitor exactly where kids are at all times throughout the day continues to be of paramount importance. Yeah, so I think lunch is really the main difference, and also once 2 o'clock comes, then for all intents and purposes, the school day is done. You know, it's school, so you know, our kids might have homework, but there won't be, you know, you know, required check-ins, additional reading groups. There won't be, you know, assigned courses that meet after 2 o'clock, and so this will be in effect from the time we get back from spring break until school ends, most likely, as long as nothing changes. I always have to throw that caveat out there, because even though that we're whatever 13 months into this, things still change as we move forward across the summer. You know, the district will continue to look at whatever the latest guidance is. You know, I think that we are all cautiously optimistic. The last guidance from ISBE seemed to indicate that the days of remote learning, unless there is a very clearly defined medical reason for it, I think the days of kind of a blanket remote learning, I think those days are numbered. Definitely we'll be able to finish this school year. But you know, it's looking more and more optimistic, like August might look more like you know, kind of what we're used to thinking that school is to look like. So that's kind of where we are. If anybody has a question about, you know, lunch or next steps or anything like that, please feel free to you can type your question somewhere, I think, or you can raise your hand, and Mr. Duncan can open up your mic for us.
Yes, I'm here standing by, and you can use the Q&A area to ask a question. You can also, if you're on the phone, press *9, and that'll indicate that you want to be unmuted to ask your question on the phone.
Good job, Mr. Duncan. Thank you very much. Oh, here we go. Question: is April 1st the last day to call and have your remote learner return to school after break? So this Friday there's no school. It's Good Friday. So Thursday's the 1st, which is day after tomorrow. Would really like for everybody, if your children are coming back, to let the school know that. The more lead time that we have, the more lead time that we have, the better off that we can plan. That doesn't answer your question, Shelley. I'll be honest with you, there's no such thing as a last day. We would like for you to have that information to the office by April 1st, but we want our kids back. We want all kids back on campus. And so if, you know, it's April 7th and you decide to leave a message and say, we've talked it over, my kids are coming back, they'll be there on the 12th, then we'd love that. Okay, very welcome, Shelley. Oh, here we go. Can the junior high add the partitions like the high school? So the plexiglass partitions at the high school are there because children are going to be the young men and women at the high school are going to be facing each other, and so that's why there's a plexiglass. In the other buildings, all of the students are going to be facing the same direction. There will be some partitions, some larger room dividers in between some areas in the elementary school and the junior high. But at the high school is where they're really necessary. Next question. Are you still in contact with the Will County Health Department regularly? Are they sharing stats with you? What is Beecher's current positivity rate? So we are, our nursing staff, they are the ones who are in close contact with Will County. With the health department, you know, they get regular updates from either Will County or the Illinois Department of Public Health. I don't have any idea what Beecher's current infectivity rate. I think I heard somebody say statewide it was 3.5 or something like that. Where we utilize tend to utilize Will County is in specific cases. They tell us exactly how to handle everything. Even our nurses who have been nothing short of amazing through this process, they continue to go straight to Will County to make sure that that everything is being handled in accordance to what needs done. And then obviously the other way that those regulatory agencies are influential is when every whatever 4 to 6 weeks they drop in some new rules, regulations, guidelines. We need to make sure that we're following those. Shelly Ryan, don't know if I'm the only one here, but did you say if there would be required at homework to do for the 2 to 3 o'clock hour at home? There will not be. So for all intents and purposes, the school day ends at 2 o'clock. I think it's 5 till 2 at the junior high, 2 o'clock at the high school, and then 5 after at the elementary school. We'll generically call that 2 o'clock. So then in the afternoon, if there are students who need additional help, you can always email your teacher. You can do an additional check-in. A teacher might specifically request that your child check in with them. But after 2 o'clock, for the most part, for most kids, the only thing that they'll have is traditional. Why is the day ending at 2 o'clock versus a full day? So as in the past, that's a great question. So all of this looks different just by the slightest demographics of where we live. Right now, we're at about 30% remote. So we have about 70% of our kids on campus. My guess is that once we go to 2 o'clock, that the percent of kids on campus is going to jump a little bit. I'd be surprised if it jumps more than to maybe 75% on campus. Which means that we have a large block of students that has to be specifically planned for. That requires a lot of extra work for the teachers to be able to make sure that that very high level of instruction that our amazing teachers have maintained this entire year. If we ran into a full day, a 3 o'clock, a 3:07, a 3 whatever, then we would not have any additional time to be able to check in with those students. As I said earlier, your teacher might ask to check in with your children. We wouldn't have time for those things, and we also wouldn't have time to give our staff time to be prepared. Could not be more proud of the effort that our staff has put in. We already have data that's come back on what the learning loss looked like in the fourth quarter of last year, and A, and B, how our average student has already started to recover some of that because of the model that we've been able to put in place and all the work that's been done. Megan asks, how long is the lunch period? It tends to be between 20 and 30 minutes for those specific questions. I'm going to fall back on the specific information that the building principals will push out, but it will be like it has been in the past. What cleaning is being done every day and night. The normal cleaning that we have been doing, buildings are sanitized daily. We have cleaning programs where the restrooms are cleaned, periodically throughout the day. And then in this lunchroom environment, after each lunch shift comes through, then all the tables be cleaned as well. Next question, other districts seem to be doing lunch in the classrooms at their desks. Was this option explored? It was. We've, as I alluded to differently, one of the interesting things about the world of education is that, all of the dynamics on each individual classroom, the dynamics in each individual district, are very different. A lot of times what's going to work in Grant Park is not going to work in Beecher. A lot of times what works at Creek Money is not going to work in Beecher, and vice versa. And so we definitely left no stone unturned as we moved through this and are really confident with where we are right now. How many students will be in the lunchroom at a time at the elementary school? So that's a great question. I don't have that in front of me. I think that I want to say it's going to be in the ballpark of the two halves of the lunchroom will be separated. I think we'll have in the neighborhood of 40 students in each half. And again, all facing the same direction. Next question, will a new time schedule come out? Not for sure. Not for sure I specifically understand. So with respect to the junior high and high school, there will definitely be a new time schedule for how long the classes are going to be. My recollection is it looks very something we've done 2 o'clock dismissals in the past, so it would be very similar to that. And then at the elementary school, then that obviously looks a little bit different for each specific grade level. And so if you have additional specific questions on that, please just reach out to your child's homeroom teacher, second grade teacher, whatever, and just say, hey, could you make sure that you send home what the new schedule looks like. Dan asked, how many cases of COVID positivity have been reported to our school lately? We've still been seeing, over the last month or so, an adult case, probably every week or every other week, somewhere in that neighborhood. And not much more frequently with our students. So, our rates that we're seeing on campus are very reasonable, and we continue to have data that says that having kids at school is not a spreader event, which is also what you'll read statewide and nationally. So my kids said that they did get to see where they will be sitting today. I know that space is an issue. But about how far apart the kids will be sitting in the lunchroom. Sorry if you answer this. You're all good. Answer as many times as we need to. It's good. Yes, space is an issue. No, children will not be socially distanced. I think it's fair to say that students will be sitting less than 3 feet from each other, and the time that they're eating, they'll be unmasked. I think that that's, you know, I don't think that's uncommon across the landscape of education. And yeah, we did at the elementary school, they did have a test run of that today to see what that looks like. With the new social distancing guideline for K-12 being 3 feet instead of 6 feet and masks not being worn during lunch, can we expect to see students being allowed to remove their masks while seated in their desks? No. The only time that students will be allowed to take their masks off, I'm going to say only, but then I'm going to put a couple qualifiers on here. Students will be allowed to take their masks off while they eat, obviously. The only other than that, they will be masked. The couple of caveats to that, if I did have a conversation with Mrs. Black, you know, she said that there would be a possibility if there was a recess time where there was only one class out and a student wanted to take a walk by themselves and unmask, you know, for a couple minutes, you know, that type of thing would be allowed. Also, I believe at the junior high and the high school, if they're having PE outside, and it's something where they can be, you know, very socially distanced outside, I believe that there'll be an opportunity for students to have their masks on. Will students have recess? So you have to kind of go back into that a little bit. Students will have recess. I think that, and I don't want to put words in Mrs. Black's mouth, but she'll let me know if I messed this up. Students will have some sort of physical activity every day, whether it's PE or recess, and they will, most students most days will also have the opportunity to go outside in conjunction with lunch, and it will be, I believe it's going to be referred more to as outside social distancing as opposed to, you know, a traditional recess. And so we're going to give students every opportunity to be physically active, while at the same point in time balancing very closely what that looks like as far as trying to be as responsible as possible with the health and safety of all of your children. Thank you so much for your input, and thank you. You know, one of the things that has you know, been a pleasure. Pleasure is the wrong word. There's no. The last 13 months have been difficult for all of us, but you know, the communication that all of the parents have had with everybody at school, everybody from secretaries to principals to classroom teachers to aides. You know, that communication, that two-way trust and respect has been something that's made me very proud of not only our staff, but also our community. So I appreciate your ongoing partnership. As you continue to kind of work through this, I know that you're going to have a lot of specific family conversations, especially when you have some time together over spring break. If you do have those very specific questions that may come along, don't hesitate to email your classroom teacher, your building office, your building principal. Getting everybody on the same page is and continuing to keep everybody as close to being on the same page as possible is really what our goal is. So. Last chance for questions for tonight anyway. Okay, fantastic. So again, continue to have that communication. Let your classroom teacher know if you need additional specifics, and we'll continue on. Everybody have a very safe spring break, and hope to see just as many boys and girls as possible come April 12th. So thank you. Be safe, be well.